talking about media flubs because it's so easy. Like the economic things, there's 1,000 different, like you say, well, this has been shown to do, and in Norway, they use this economic model, and then they can throw back, well, but the population's homogenous, it's smaller. It's not very clear cut. Like, I think you can make good arguments, but it's not very clear cut. With these things, with critical race theory, their perception of it and what it actually is, it's so easy to disprove. And then I think that opens up the door with, okay, if you're being given misinformation on this, what are the other likely things that, I can now make an argument that the other things you're hearing are bullshit because this one, I can conclusively show that you're being fed garbage on this one issue.
I think the whole strategy of using critical race theory and all these type of social issues is really paying off. I mean, just look at the elections. The Republicans are using it and strategically very well. So
I listened to.
It's effective.
Oh, I want to say it was Sam Sater who I hate watch, by the way, but he does have a lot of good. He does have a lot of good stuff. And he had it was some interview that they were playing with. It was an older gentleman, I guess at the one of the Virginia gubernatorial election rallies, and this guy, the journalist, the interviewer asked, why are you there? He said, I'm here because I'm worried about critical race theory being taught in the schools. And the guy goes, okay, well, what is critical race theory? And the guy literally goes, I don't know, but I just know I don't like it. and the guy was like, so you're here to vote for something because you're really worked up against this thing, but you don't know what it is. And the guy's like, I don't want to get into the details. I don't know all those right now, but I know this is something we don't want our children being taught. And Sater was making a point that, these things, however bullshit, they don't have to know about them, and it gets these culture war things just get certain segments of the population very animated, and I don't know, he was just making points about how certain electorates are motivated to go out and vote, and it was pretty funny. Listen to the guy just struggle to say what he got.
I don't know what it is, and I'm not willing to defend my position, but by God,
I don't know what
I have a solid position.
I know.
I must be right.
I know it's bad. Tucker told me it's really bad.
It's like a microcosm for politics. Really, I often think that maybe it's these are issues that people can wrap their heads around. They're not too complicated. They don't have to research that deeply.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a component.
That probably plays a part, maybe, but like I said, I think it's super important to focus on, economic policy. That's what actually affects people. Nobody, freaking critical race theory. Give me a break.
Yeah, no.
It sounds scary, right?
You're 100% right. That's what affects people, but no one's interested in it.
When it comes to electoral politics, half the freaking population doesn't vote. Really, the election is all about how many of your people can you get out to the polls. You have to find issues that really motivate people. People are really motivated, by critical race theory. Apparently,
So I don't. It's a good question. There is it that I think you see more movement on social issues than you do on economic issues, or people don't. That maybe there is movement, but I feel like certainly from my perspective, what's actually done, there's what's promised by the people that I would like to see get elected and what they actually do when they get in office. Or, you'll hear certain members of the Democratic Party propose, issues that I would be very in favor of, and they just immediately get dropped. So it's hard to get excited for the economic issues because I know that it's not a reality. It's just a bone that they're throwing out there to a handful of people that are interested in that stuff. That they're just immediately going to give up on, paid maternity leave, or paid parental leave, something like that. They've been or lowered drug prices, for example. That's been one that the Democrats have been running on since 2006, at least. Negotiating Medicare drug costs. Very important issue. It seems very simple to do. They keep running on it, and then it's on every single bill proposal. It's the first thing that's thrown out, and they don't even usually say. They just throw it out and don't mention it. never comes up again until they need to get elected.
Well, I always post about this, but 5 of the top 10 lobbyist groups in Washington are related to the medical industry. They're either hospital lobbies or pharmaceutical industry lobbies. 5 of the top 10. They have so much power, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that Kristen Sinema ran on, right? She got elected. She ran on negotiating drug prices. And now she's one of the ones that just dropped it, and then stopped it from even being in the budget bill. So
I don't want to get too far into it this week because but
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you saw they voted late Friday night. They voted and passed the $1 trillion bill without the accompanying bill, but apparently they got quote unquote promises for Manchin and Sinema. So who
Oh yeah,
dude.
I bet
there was good news over the electoral week. Detroit votes to decriminalize entheogenic plants and fungi. So,
what? Yeah, Detroit.
It's not legal, but it's decriminalized. It's the lowest. Decriminalizing use and possession within city limits means that the police does not prioritize arrests for these offenses unless they're linked to another crime. The measure did not authorize commercialization of the plants and fungi, and these plants include psilocybin, ibogaine, ayahuasca, and peyote, and other mescaline-containing cacti. Pretty cool, man.
Awesome. They need to do that a lot more places. I wonder how big ibogaine is in Detroit. I kind of wonder about whenever that one gets brought up. But yeah, I mean, essentially, it's just the city telling the local police, to just, hey, stop arresting people for this. They can't change the laws. I'm assuming that's what happened there. They just told the police force not to prioritize arresting people for low-level drug offenses, right?
That's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I wonder if they can grow, say they could grow their own mushrooms at home legally now, I guess, which is a pretty cool thing. I mean, they're not super hard to grow, and they don't take that long. It's not like growing freaking peyote.
Yeah, I knew somebody that used to grow them in his one-bedroom apartment.
It says possession and use is decriminalized, but as far as growing, I mean, man, seems like there'd be some activity, police activity, heavily on the edges of the city limits, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
because those are all felonies.
Yeah,
that's how
well,
guys,
I know.
That's how them detectives get their advancements, by busting people.
I'll say, at least in Kentucky, cultivating marijuana in Kentucky is only a felony because there is an assumption that you're going to traffic it. So in Kentucky, if you can, regardless of how many plants you grow, if you can successfully argue that it was for personal use, it's still just a Class B or a misdemeanor. Is what I meant to say.
Wow, that probably gets more difficult to do once you get into the hundreds of plants territory, I imagine.
I was in the 25 territory, and I did it. So, but it was kind of a special case. But I imagine it's probably, I don't know with mushrooms. I don't think I've ever known anybody that's got busted for even having mushrooms, much less growing them. So I don't know what the.
Yeah, why would you hang on to them? Just eat them real quick. You don't have to worry about it.
Eat them. Ugh. Yeah, you're going to have to worry about it in about 45 minutes.
Man, talk about onset anxiety.
Oh my God,
I love it.
No, not at all.
Let's talk about Elon Musk, man. Have you followed this fiasco over the weekend?
I have.
He's considering. He put a poll on his Twitter, I think, last night. And this was stemming from an earlier Twitter exchange he had with the United Nations, a representative, over this CNN piece. This was the original CNN piece. 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could solve world hunger, says director of UN Food Scarcity Org. Oh, this is Dr. Eli David fact check. 2% of Elon Musk's wealth is $6 billion. In 2020, the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion. How come it didn't, quote, solve world hunger? And Elon responded to this tweet saying, show specifically how and where you would use the money to end world hunger, and I would come up with the money, basically, is what he says.
Yeah, he said show specifically, show your work, and when I donate the money, we need to have complete transparency in how it's spent. I think that was his two conditions to giving the money to them.
There's no way he was going to come off that money to end world hunger, dude. He was telling these people, dangling this money above their head,
Yeah.
What did you think about this?
So I don't know if I don't know what his intentions were. He gets, I wonder what the equity in his businesses, how much that goes up when he does these things. This, getting people talking about him, getting people to pay attention to them. Like, there's certainly a trade-off. I don't know if it'd be $6 billion worth of,
Well, he's been warned by the SEC for trying to juice his stock prices before. So is that what you think he's trying to juice his stock price?
That's essentially, or maybe not even like any one company stock price, but just his kind of personal stock. He is a commodity. Yeah. He's got his companies. He's out there. He's out there selling bullshit rockets to the U.S. government. If he's the guy that donated $6 billion or even pretended like he was going to, like there's equity he's developing in his name by doing these sorts of things.
I guess, but it's such a dick move. Like,
it's and it's really just a purely cynical outlook on my part that he's just comparing numbers to numbers. If I give him $5 billion and I get $7 billion worth of extra,
valuation
yeah. Having said that, I don't know his motivations. I don't know what he would actually do. I'm very, very skeptical that he would ever come off that money. My understanding was, okay, so they responded. Elon says this and says, show me how to do it, give complete transparency, and I'll give you the money.
He required open source accounting for this whole process, he said. He wanted everything written up and explained exactly how this money was going to be spent.
Yeah, and that might very well have been just a way for him to have somebody look through and find some discrepancy to fudge his way out of having to pay up. But if I had the money and someone was throwing something like this out, I would say the same thing if I did have the intention to do it. Show me how this is actually going to work, and you need to be completely transparent with how it's done.
Well, a day later, he puts this Twitter poll on his page. I guess this is his way of redirecting that conversation, I assume.
Well, so there was one other little point in this. So the guy from the World Health Organization basically comes back out and says, well, that was kind of a misleading headline, that it's not that his $6 billion would end world hunger. The $6 billion would alleviate, would bring the number of starving people this year, or basically would feed all the starving people in the world for a year. It's not going to end world hunger, and there's a whole lot of reasons that world hunger exists. Most of it apparently is in sub-Saharan Africa, and a lot of it has to do with like civil wars and stuff going on, and just not having infrastructure. So there's no way that $6 billion would end their hunger problems. It would alleviate a lot of people's suffering for sure.
The problem, see, this is one of the sort of pitfalls of capitalism, right? 10 billion people worth of food is created every year, but a lot of it's thrown away in Europe and United States. We produce way more food than we could ever eat. It's just the distribution of it isn't, it's not getting to where it needs to go.
Sure.
The poor countries that you're talking about, sub-Saharan countries, they can't afford to import the food, and the people in the countries can't afford to buy it if it were imported, and that's really the issue. And the UN does a lot of good work there. They just can't do it all.
I think, another point that they were making was that the infrastructure is not there to get the food to the people, sure, even if it were available. Even if you had trucks or container ships lined up at the docks, these are dangerous areas to go into, and there's not roads in a lot of these places, and there's I guess like kind of post-apocalyptic landscapes. So how would you even get it to them in the first place? That's going to cost billions of dollars to get them in a better place. I don't know how true that is. This is what the response was to this whole ordeal.
Well, what you do is you go to sub-Saharan Africa and you build a hyperloop out in the desert.
Oh, see, this is building he's building his brand. This is it. He's going to say, okay, we're going to do this, but my 6 billion, instead of ending world hunger, we're going to drill a tunnel, right? We're going to drill a tunnel.
Fastest boring tunnel machine ever, Tony.
And we're going to, with the fastest boring machine ever, and we will, and not instead of not using cargo ships, but we will shoot Teslas through the tunnel.
There you go.
One trunk load at a time to feed all the people in Africa.
Just load up rockets and, jettison them.
Yeah. It's all coming together.
Here's the most recent one here. Much is made, let me do Elon's voice here. Much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance. So I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Do you support this? And he has yes or no. This is a poll. 57.9% yes right now. Do you support redistributing 10% of Elon Musk's wealth? He's not even redistributing. He's just allowing himself to be taxed on 10% of it.
James, I have also decided that I might pay taxes on 10% of my wealth. Maybe. If
this
Twitter
is so
says
silly,
okay. What a goofy thing. I would have.
The taxes can't be much lower in the future, This is probably the best time to sell, honestly.
I would have given him some respect if he said, hey, Twitter, should I sell 10% of this and donate to some charity?
Give it to the UN Food Organization.
Do
or whatever,
something with it. Yeah, not just pay taxes on it. Ugh. I don't know. It seems kind of silly. But on the other hand, he does make some funny things on Reddit, so I guess all's forgiven.
It's only offensive because he's so freaking rich due to government bailouts and handouts to him. This is all federal money that he's flush with.
Yeah.
He should pay tax on it. It's money we fucking gave to him. Give us some of it back so we can feed people. We can have health care and shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's his whole thing. Half of his businesses are just farming grants from the federal government.
No, he didn't. And as we discussed before, he's not the lead innovator. He has engineers that work for him that do a lot of the work. He's just a venture capitalist, is what they call it. He just spends money and get lucky. Where you spend it.
His biggest product is himself too. By the way, like the products he comes up with they're great, and some of them are innovative, but they're not. They're not nearly what he has made them out to be. He is not Iron Man out there creating this technology that far surpasses all the rest of the industry. He makes good stuff. He's got small innovations on certain things. I've been looking into getting a solar setup for my house recently. And I was like, Elon has his solar setup with the batteries and the whole panel. And I started comparing it to other brands, well-known brands been doing this for a while. And all of his stuff is 3 times the price and 70% as efficient as the other brands on the market. It's just, he sells himself. That's my point. He sells himself, and that's the product is Elon.
Well, theoretically, as a result of this poll coming out, his stock price should be going down, theoretically, you would think. If he's getting ready to sell off a huge chunk of shares, the price should be dropping. And the last I heard, it was going up. Let's see what it is right now.
Yeah, he's selling the Elon brand. That's what all this is about. That's his big product. It's just Elon.
Okay, it took a little bit of a hit, but not too bad. It's almost back up. It's still over $1,200 a share, over $1,220 right now. Mm-hmm. It didn't take much of a hit, really, after that. You would think it would. Maybe people don't believe he's actually going to sell. Do you think he will?
I don't know. I think he would do something that looked like selling, that he could trick people like you and I into thinking, the average person out there into thinking that what he did was technically being selling his stock. I'm sure he'll use every single little loophole in the book to pay the lowest tax rate possible on it, but
I have a theory that his financial planner last week was like, Elon, we need to sell 10% of this stock. And he's like, how can I use this to my advantage?
that really is the most likely scenario. This has been something that's been on the back burner for the past month, and now's a great opportunity, and I can get my name back out there in the paper some more.
I know our international audience probably doesn't give two shits about all these legal cases. I find them super interesting, though. This is sort of a hobby of mine, the legal stuff. So the Ahmaud Arbery trial is going on. After some scrutiny with this jury selection process, it is a almost all-white jury. There's one black juror. And they're all being charged in one case here. He was the one chasing Arbery with holding the camera in the video.
Yeah.
His name is Roddy Bryan. His phone was confiscated, and he is now being charged with sex crimes, quote unquote. So
we've all been there. No judgment.
I mean, what could that even mean, dude? It has to be child pornography, doesn't it? What else could it be? Snuff films and shit? I mean...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's...
pretty sketchy.
It was after his phone was seized, then he got charged with sex crimes after his phone was seized.
They opened an investigation after they got his phone for this trial.
It's most likely kid stuff. That's... he looks like that.
There are text messages... between him and somebody else, I'm not sure who. On Martin Luther King Day, he was texting back and forth, I'll bet y'all are truly having a monkey parade over there, as well as using the N-word multiple times. The defense, these guys are claiming that they were attempting a citizen's arrest and fired in self-defense. And they had reasonable cause to believe that Arbery committed a crime. And the defense attorney says here, Travis has no choice but to fire his weapon in self-defense, the lawyer continued, adding that his client reasonably believed that Mr. Arbery would beat him up and use his own shotgun against him. So I guess you can do that in Georgia. That's legal.
This is the guy on the far left? Or the guy in the middle? Was it because this is the father and
the guy on the far left was the shotgun guy, yeah. And the guy in the middle was the back of the truck guy. Back
of the truck with a pistol. The guy on the far left, he looks exactly like if you had to needed to draw a caricature of a guy that's going to get out of a truck with a shotgun and shoot a black guy. That's the caricature I would draw. Like he looks the part. He's literally a mouth breather. Neck beard.
You would think he would lay low, given he's being kind of obvious about it. Is what you're saying?
Just stay home and jack off the pictures of your sister. Like all the rest of your people do.
So this is the same thing, sort of, last week. Like, how much responsibility does he have for showing up with a shotgun to this situation?
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to this case. Apparently, let's see, the jury did hear recordings. We discussed this a little bit last week. The jury did hear recordings about the fact that these guys knew, in fact, that Arbery had not damaged or stolen anything off that property. They had recordings of conversations between them verifying that, which doesn't bode well for these guys.
After the incident?
This was prior to the incident.
Or from a previous incident.
Right. The judge ruled that evidence of recent cannabis use by Mr. Arbery was not relevant to the case, but that the McMichael's Confederate flag license plate was admissible as evidence. So these guys are in some hot water.
Oh, good.
I know, but when you watch the footage, you feel sorry for them, too. It's like, I mean, maybe they're just playing me, but...
What, the footage where they stop and shoot the guy?
They show footage right after the incident. This is the police body cam footage.
Okay. I said, come on, let's go. So Travis runs and gets his shotgun. Because the other night, the guy's
still laying there?
I think this is after they took his body.
Okay, because it looks like right beside his elbow, it almost looks like a silhouette. Surely
there's footage of that too from the trial, but it's blurred. I think this must be after with the interviews and stuff.
And So I grabbed my 37 Magnum. It's an old Glenn County PD issue, by the way, when I was cop. So we take off.
He's ex-cop.
Yeah,
I jump in.
Just had to mention that. Back when I was a cop, buddies. Don't arrest me, please.
The next thing he mentions is his daughter's car seat in here, so we feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Car seat is in the front. So we can't move it, don't have time to move it. So I kind of sit on top of it. We see him come around the corner. He's going down here. We pull up beside him. Hey, stop. We want to talk to you. And he just keeps on running. And then Roddy pulls out at some point. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, we're past his house. The guy turns around and he starts running back this way. Roddy pulls out in his truck and kind of blocks him. So I said, Travis, go back that way. He said, no, I'm going to go head him off. So sure enough, he comes around. We come back down here and he's right here. And he starts running past us. And Travis backs up and says, hey, stop. We want to talk to you. Or something to that effect. I don't remember the exact words that was said. By this time, I'm in the back of the truck. So the guy, he's looking dead at us, he's like, from me to you. And he turns and he runs. Travis gets out with the shotgun and runs up there. And, I said, Travis, don't shoot. Don't do anything. The guy turns and comes at him. And they start wrestling, and Travis shoots him around the chest.
So we run out to stop him to talk to him. He took off running. Came over here. Stopped. He come out of the truck running at us. I told him stop.
So,
he hit me. I had nothing to do.
He hit me.
And I'm not buying that one damn bit.
You're not?
Not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. It sounds like, look, I've lied to plenty of cops in my days, and that's exactly how I do it. No, I ain't buying it, buddy.
Roddy Bryan, the other guy remember he said that he blocked him. He actually hit him with his vehicle because there's DNA and there's like a dent on his truck. The other guy, the third guy, I guess he hit him with the truck at some point.
Yeah, these guys were they were living out some lynch mob fantasy.
That's what it looks like, man.
That's all this is. It's Jesus. It's so disgusting. Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing there's still people that fucking racist out there, man.
But there are. Yeah, for sure. And these are those guys. Whether they went out specific, whether they went out there, I don't think they went out there specifically to kill the guy. No, but I think that they really wanted to put themselves in a situation where they would have to act in self-defense. Or they wanted the guy to just kind of cower so they could...
Exactly. They wanted to,
They wanted to be the authority. They wanted him to bow down to them and be in fear of them.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly it.
Or to attack them so they could defend themselves. And that's what
I don't understand. There's fucking 3 of them. Why do they need guns? Why can't they just beat this guy up? And you know what I mean? They don't need... There did not need to be a shotgun involved. Or a handgun. I mean...
They watched Birth of a Nation recently. I don't know if you ever heard. That's the old movie where basically they revived the Ku Klux Klan with the movie. So they must have rewatched that, and it's just a lynch mob fantasy. They had this. It's Georgia, you said? Yeah, for sure. This is just lynch mob stuff.
Here is a video from 2017 of Ahmaud Arbery, just to give you an idea what he's all about. I mean, Arbery gets crunk with him here, dude. He's not happy. They're messing with him.
You off work today?
Just rapping in the ball.
Gotcha. You got an ID on you, man? Thanks, man. Be right back with you, okay? Why am I fucking with you? You want to know why I'm fucking with you?
Why?
Keep your hand in your pocket.
I ain't got shit on me. What the fuck you fucking with me for?
I'll tell you why I'm here, man.
Why?
I'll tell you why I'm here. Because this area is known for drug activity.
Drug? How the fuck I'm drug activity when I work at Blue Beacon?
Back up.
Check my shit.
Back
boy.
up.
The fuck you talking about?
You want to back up?
Motherfucking shit. Oh, boy.
Turn around and put your hands on the car.
Why?
Turn around and put your hands on the car.
Watch out, boy.
Turn around and put your hands on the car. I'm checking you for weapons. I'm checking you for weapons.
You got no reason to touch me, bro.
I'm not searching you. I'm checking you for weapons. All right, man? You don't have any warrants? I know, but you're coming up on me. You make me kind of nervous. Okay?
You bothering me for nothing. You can't go in my car.
You're not allowing me to search your car?
You can't go in my shit.
I'm not asking you. Just don't reach the car, man.
Get your hand out of your pocket.
Hands out of your pocket.
Down.
Warning, down. Stay on the ground. Stay on the...
That's pretty epic. He misses him from 2 feet away, dude.
And he holds it up. I got to play it off body cam footage.
Get down.
Yeah. It seems like this guy's, as I'm sure a lot of people in his position are, he's probably dealt with a lot of crap over the years from, authority figures, cops and jailers, and he's got these 2 guys in a pickup truck, just a couple more guys coming to fuck with him, while he's out just minding his own business or rapping in the park or getting behind his car or whatever. I have the same attitude.
I don't know. You can tell this kid has a rough life, man.
Yeah.
This is almost
sure
like he's getting crunk with the cops. Like, this is almost a suicide by cop attempt here, it looks like, man.
It's not smart, but it's understandable. I've had at least one encounter with the cops where I was to that level of just like, fuck you, man. What, you're bothering me. I'm really not doing shit, but you're just hassling me about stuff. And
yeah.
you just get tired of it, man. And I could imagine a guy in his position, I guess he lives probably inner city in Georgia. He's probably just tired of it.
We need investment in these communities, and it's not going to happen until we make it happen. This kid probably has a parent in jail or prison, I'm sure, and relatives.
For sure.
There's just no economic opportunity for these people.
So, number 1, back to story 1, do what Detroit did. Stop decriminalize drugs so you're not putting these people on paper, not taking away job opportunities from them, not wasting all sorts of taxpayer dollars going after this crap, and then maybe take some of the money you save and invest it back into those communities.
How about we build like social centers in these communities, and we can staff them with citizens of that area, right? Sort of like social workers. Give them decent, government jobs.
Hopefully Elon will pay taxes, and maybe we might be able to do some of that stuff.
Elon could solve all this with like 10% of his stock, dude.
10%.
He could pay reparations by himself. Think about it.
I will pay taxes on 10% of what I made.
When is it going to get to that point? Like, all the other billionaires like turn on one billionaire and feed him to the masses,
Yeah.
Like, Elon pisses him off one day and they just
I think that
bust
that
open
might
his
be part
fucking
of,
bank account like a piggy bank.
I think that might be part of what it is too. People are starting, like on both sides of the spectrum, people are starting to get mad at the billionaires. And I think Elon wants to keep doing this stuff, making little tweets about Bitcoin and Dogecoin and talking about paying tax on some of his money because he wants to be the good billionaire. He wants to be on the good side when everybody goes French Revolution.
I have been watching the Rittenhouse trial pretty closely. It's super entertaining. It has high production value, which I go for. The state's case is pretty pathetic, man. I have to say. This is a case where I hate Rittenhouse and everything that he represents, but I don't think he should go to prison for murder, dude. I just don't. The evidence doesn't support it, unfortunately. He's such a little shit. I've actually revised my position quite a bit on this since testimony came to light indicating that Rittenhouse had pointed his gun at Rosenbaum prior to the first shooting, and that this was the reason why Rosenbaum became upset at Rittenhouse. There's one individual that the court has nicknamed Jump Kick Man. This is pretty funny, I thought.
My go-to.
It looks like his hands are in his pocket almost. Or is he holding up his jeans? I can't really tell what he's doing with his hands. Like the worst technique to go after somebody with. This guy wasn't shot, so I can make fun of him.
Yeah.
Let me just say that first off.
Reminds me of me and my buddy Matt from jiu-jitsu class. All we did was flying triangles.
What would be the technique?
Nothing but flying triangles from day one.
So Rittenhouse is on the ground. What's the technique? I mean, he drops straight down on top of him, right? You don't, jump kick him. You get your body on top of the rifle.
Yeah, no, you go knee on belly. You get control of the arms.
You got your weight on top of him. Just grab a hold of the rifle,
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, because the rifle's a lever. You have more control over it than if you had his arms. So you get one hand towards the end of the rifle, the other on the hand that's holding and just keep it down. Keep that pressure on the sternum with your knee.
I think if these guys knew what they were doing, this wouldn't have escalated past where it did.
No, definitely not.
A juror was dismissed on Thursday after making a Jacob Blake joke while the court was out of session. The judge was trying to get him to say the joke in front of the court, and he wouldn't do it. But the state said the joke told by the juror was basically, why did the Kenosha police shoot Jacob Blake 7 times? Because they ran out of bullets. And after that, he was dismissed. So
Probably for the best.
And there was the first testimony wasn't showed publicly. This was an FBI agent, Brandon Kramen. He testified about aerial surveillance of the events in Kenosha on the night of the shooting. For security reasons, the testimony was not made public. So this is the footage. It's infrared. You see it says IR up here. They are spy planes flying over top of these protests and filming everything.
Oh my God.
9,000 feet. So that's not super high up there, but that's high enough to where,
Who owns these? I mean, what?
This was the FBI. The states have them too, like especially Texas. There was a big story about it, but this is the FBI.
This is just grotesque.
So the circled individual is Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum is the guy circled here. The first person he kills is this guy fresh out of the hospital. He's like on all kinds of psych meds and whatnot. And he was trying to start shit all night, basically, telling people to shoot him and whatnot. So he's circled here, and in the square is Rittenhouse. This is actually pretty telling, this footage. Now notice how Rosenbaum is the circle here. He's chasing Rittenhouse, and he chases him to where this other square is.
Yeah.
You can see everything that happens here. Did you see the flash? You can see the flash of the gun and everything.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, dude.
Pretty obviously provoked. What's way more upsetting than what happened here in this shooting is the fact that we have spy planes with infrared technology flying over and monitoring U.S. citizens. That's my big takeaway from this.
He still brought a gun. Like, if he didn't have a freaking rifle on him, he just would have got his ass whooped, and that would have been it. Nobody would have died.
I think I've kind of said from the beginning, and I know you have too, to an extent, but this seems just like a failure of the police from the get-go. They've been handing out waters to them and all that stuff.
They're letting people walk around armed with AR-15s, I guess, these days. Yeah. Are they really? Well, it was after curfew, for one. For two...
Yeah, that was a big thing, curfew.
I'm not anti-gun. I'm all about guns, but you just don't need to carry them all the time.
And if,
they're for self-defense, dude. And, like, defending your family and shit.
Yeah. If you're a kid and you're walking around like that, you're there for a purpose. To
look like a badass.
Or for violence. You're hoping violence or you're suspecting violence is going to happen. And you're walking around basically taking a vigilante role on. Then you have the cops rolling by and giving you a thumbs up and water or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's a tacit encouragement of what you're trying to do. And if these are people you're already idolizing, you're putting yourself in a bad position. And unfortunately, I mean, he was chased and attacked to some degree, but it's a failure of the system in general that is making people think that they need to do these sorts of things, that it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. It's a hard thing to put someone in prison for murder, though. It's like, especially a kid, just sucks, man. But yeah, the spy planes, 9,000 feet. Yeah, that's some Big Brother shit. That's what China's doing with the facial recognition and cameras on every freaking light pole, right? It's the same idea. They're just doing it in a different way.
Did they tell anybody this? Like, had this Rittenhouse trial not happened, we wouldn't have known that this was going on, would we?
Well, there was a story not too long ago. I forget who it was, but the Texas state government is doing this with these spy planes. They flew like 100 flights in a week or something.
My tweaker cousin must have been right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in nootropics, check out my website, MetamaxPerformance.com. We have high-quality, single-ingredient nootropic supplements, fast shipping, and free shipping for the time being, so check it out. MetamaxPerformance.com.
ShowerHempFarms.com, your number one source for CBD and Delta 8 products. Come check us out. We are running a special right now on the Delta 8 vape carts. It's all Kentucky grown, Kentucky made, Kentucky sold. Support local farms. ShowerHempFarms.com.
This young man is known as Steve Bannon. He is a Trump supporter.
Yeah, it looks like one.
Washington sort of insider. And he is facing charges for contempt of court in the U.S. House of Representatives for failing to comply with a subpoena over the January 6th incident. This is a quote from the New York Times. Attorney General Merrick Garland has declined to say whether he will move forward with charges. Under federal law, any person summoned as a congressional witness who refuses to comply can face a misdemeanor charge that carries a fine of $100,000 to $100,000 and a jail sentence of 1 month to 1 year. So it's not a harsh sentence to fail to comply with this. He'll probably get fined 0.001% of his net worth. And in exchange, he can hide the truth about what actually happened. This was interesting to me. This guy is like, when it comes to Washington insiders, like swamp people, this is the guy, dude. He did a short stint in the U.S. Navy, and then somehow he magically became an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. After he got tired of doing that, he produced 18 documentary films with Student Studios United Films. These films are very awesome. You should check them out if you can find them. They're hard to find. Fire from the Heartland, starring Ann Coulter and Michelle Bachmann, if you remember those names.
Oh.
I looked for a copy of this. I looked for a copy of this and couldn't find it anywhere. Next was Battle for America, where he conflates the student activist movement with the conservative populist movement by framing them both as beset by the authoritarian government. And he does this by using the Kent State Massacre to sort of portray the government as the bad guy, because everyone knows the legislature and the executive branch are the same thing, apparently. And here is his most recent Citizens United Productions. Here we go. Torchbearer.
So listen, as a student of history, one thing that we've all learned is that even the mightiest dynasties eventually crumble. The Ming Dynasty, the Habsburg Dynasty, and now, trouble for the preeminent dynasty of our age.
In the beginning, God. Beyond all time and outside of all space.
Is that the Duck Dynasty guy?
It is indeed. This guy is super interesting, man.
But then the evil one, the father of lies, tempted them. From this calamity down through the ages, man shakes his fist at his creator.
You can just read any part of the Bible in a scary way, and it's ominous.
Ominous music.
There's Hitler. There's Antifa.
Nietzsche.
Now all creation is subject to its bondage to decay. Men of Athens, I can see that in every way you're very religious. The one you worship is unknown. I will proclaim to you, the God who made the world is Lord of heaven and earth.
Bill Robertson, that's the guy, the Duck Dynasty guy.
When men begin to determine what's right and what's wrong,
there's Hitler and Robespierre right next to each other, because those are the same thing.
The man with the biggest stick determines.
Oh, there's a Muslim.
Caesar demands his pinch of incense. Violence, decadence, political anarchy, moral decay. Welcome to the city of man. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature saying, "Come and see."
What does Hitler have to do with any of this?
More to come. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And the name of him who sat on it was...
And hell followed with him.
They're interspersing, for the audio listeners, they're interspersing scenes of like various sort of socialist uprisings, interspersing those with like scenes from Nazi Germany for some reason.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Having made ourselves God, we turned inward, feeling lonely, ashamed, self-conscious, depressed, lost to our very selves, full of violence and carnality, betrayal, hatred, murder, war. That a human civilization's best chance of survival is to anchor itself in the God of creation.
What is he even saying? Like, what's the point?
It's nonsensical.
Like, I'm waiting for him to get to something. Also, Citizens United, is he somehow affiliated with the group that pushed the Citizens United decision? Is this
the Supreme Court
group?
case?
Yeah, the Supreme Court case. Citizens United.
No, he's not related in any way. Just the name. He just took the name. Okay,
yeah, the ones that made it to where they could have political action committees and opened up all sorts of dark money to funnel to politicians.
It was the ruling that decided that corporations have free speech rights, and therefore they are allowed to donate unlimited money to political campaigns.
Yeah,
and not publish it publicly.
I think the Citizens United, it allowed them to donate unlimited to the political action committees, right?
Right.
Not necessarily to the it's
to the
same
PAC,
thing, obviously, but
right. They don't have to publish, until after the election or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know if maybe the same guys, filmmaker / democracy destroyer.
I love these comments.
All hail Duckington, destroyer of geese.
A lot of it's like legit though.
Praise God Almighty.
You're my God and Savior. I don't know. Religious stuff is funny to me. I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah, I didn't get what he was saying. He goes on rambling all this ominous, foreboding speech about the Bible and bad things that are going to happen. I kept waiting for him to get to like what the movie's about.
Well, it's just that. The movie's just that. It's just a bunch of Phil Robertson.
It's just a bunch of rambling about how we've lost our way and Miley Cyrus is destroying the moral fabric of our society. I mean, it kind of is. But.
This is Phil Robertson. Why I don't get worked up about Joe Biden.
I'm seated in my living room. I'm fixing to go cut a beaver dam. You say, you're not worried about all of this stuff, the news media, and Joe Biden stumbling around, murmuring this and that and the other, incoherent. The news pundits and they've taken sides and they're hollering about socialism and this and that and the other. I've learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I don't pay that stuff any mind. I know no mind. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty.
I don't know, man. They'll make TV shows out of anything, dude. I don't get it. It's like your old uncle who don't really know that much, just kind of rambling. But hell, he's compelling. I mean, I could sit there and watch him all day. He's compelling, but as far as substance, not much is going on there.
No,
what do you think?
His whole thing. Yeah, of course not. There's no. Have you ever seen pictures of him and the other Duck Dynasty guys before the show?
No.
They're all wearing they had no beards, wearing button-ups, khakis. They're out golfing. They were a bunch of rich dudes. This whole thing's an act. The whole beard, camo, everything. Yeah, it's all set up.
I've heard people on the left say that that's pretty common. That a lot of the sort of working class Republican voters are actually upper middle class who just kind of pretend drive pickup trucks and
they're heirs. It's like their dad or whatever made a lot of money, had a big duck whistle business, and they just living off of daddy's money and decided
duck
they
whistles?
wanted to put on a show for. Yeah, it was a duck call. He had a series of hunting implements for ducks in particular, but hunting calls. And they sold it. Yeah, all the kids were living on that duck whistle money.
So I want to go through a little bit more of the history of Bannon here. In 2007, he wrote an 8-page treatment for a new documentary called Destroying the Great Satan, The Rise of Islamic Fascism in America. 2007. The outline states that, quote, although driven by the best intentions, institutions such as the media, the Jewish community, and government agencies were appeasing jihadists aiming to create an Islamic Republic. That's crazy. That's quite a cohort that have teamed up to create this Islamic Jihad. The Jewish community, the media, and government agencies coalescing to form an Islamic Jihad.
Yeah,
in America,
as they tend to do. I mean, we've seen it 1,000 times.
And also in 2007, he co-founded Breitbart, everyone's favorite news organization, featuring journalists like Milo Yiannopoulos. There were several very famous stories written. In 2016, there was a story where Tom Tancredo wrote that sex crime rates in Europe could be traced back to a recent influx of Muslim immigrants. Pretty blatant racism there. Yeah. There's a story where they accidentally, accidentally printed a misprinted photo of Obama that said he was born in Kenya. So their fact-checking department dropped the ball on that one, I guess.
Just a bit. Understandable mistake.
Spawned a whole conspiracy theory. They featured a famous Ben Shapiro essay in which he explains that white people act black in order to try to gain black privilege. Cracks me up, dude. That black privilege is such a problem that white people are acting black to gain it. That cracks me up. There was also a famous Milo article where he claims that women shouldn't use birth control because it makes women's voices, quote, unsexy. Those who take the pill don't look right or talk right. It makes women fat, slutty, and jiggle wrong. He tries to blame the pill for these cheese thighs, quote.
I don't even know.
I didn't read Milo back in the day. I didn't hear about him until he was on Rogan. But
yeah, that was my introduction. I mean, he's a bag of fun, that's for sure. But this is.
Would you call this grifting? Are these guys grifting?
Oh yeah, these guys are definitely grifting. These guys. This is what Facebook is for. This type of crap. We're just going to throw a bunch of buzzwords out there.
Yeah.
Reposting Breitbart, Jewish conspiracies to form an Islamic Republic. Like, it doesn't have to. The less sense it makes, the better. Because this is the type of crap that my aunt will eat up and repost and talk about the next day at work. And
I wonder if everything in politics sounds like that to like people like that, Facebook people. Like, they hear anything and it sounds like government organizations and, Jewish media trying to create an Islamic Jihad. It all just sounds like gibberish to them, probably. Let's talk about Cambridge Analytica. In 2013, Bannon co-founded Cambridge Analytica with financial backing from a hedge fund billionaire Robert Mercer. He co-founded Cambridge Analytica in 2013 as the U.S. branch of Strategic Communications Laboratories, SCL Group, a British company that advertises how it has conducted, quote, behavioral change programs in more than 60 countries. It used personal data from tens of millions of Facebook users obtained through the company Global Science Research, GSR, without Facebook's permission. Cambridge Analytica is widely seen as getting Trump elected. This was the documentary, what was the name of that documentary? Hacked or something like that, where they talk about Cambridge Analytica, how they basically stole all these user data information from Facebook and was able to target advertisements in the run-up to the 2016 election. You remember that?
Yeah. I remember
It was a good documentary. That there was a couple of whistleblowers that came forward and sort of spilled the beans on the whole thing. Super interesting, man. They had to file bankruptcy after that, I guess. I'm sure nobody ever got in any actual trouble, That was the reason Zuckerberg was originally pulled in front of the House. Was that leak of all that user data.
So yeah, it was that leak that kind of really opened people's eyes to how much information Facebook was collecting.
People knew about it,
Remember.
but it wasn't really known that that was their main source of income. Like, user data is basically their commodity. They have commodified user data, and we give it to them freely. We don't even charge them for it. You call that growth, but that's not really growth. That's exploitation, really. Not really growing a product, unless count us as the product, I guess.
I mean, yeah, we are the product. They're selling our interest
sell
to
us shit.
advertisers. Yeah,
Right.
they're selling our interest to advertisers, and more data they collect, the more they know what we want to do and want to buy, and it's all important information. This is.
They got the drones. They got all your data.
Not to get to that, but
in 2016, Bannon became the CEO of Trump's presidential campaign and became chief strategist to Trump after he won the presidency. And he only lasted 6 months before he was fired, and he rejoined Breitbart. 2017, Steve Bannon made a major mistake in his career here.
Because the Senate and Mitch McConnell have been the most outrageous in their lack of support of President Trump's agenda.
So that's his greatest offense, is not supporting the president enough.
The greatest offense is not supporting the president enough as of now. I think he showed his contempt for the grassroots movement. I think he showed his contempt for the Trump movement in those actions. And so, yes, Mitch McConnell has to go.
Do you think Mitch McConnell will be majority leader at this time next year?
I absolutely do not think it will be majority leader.
Is that your personal mission, to make that not happen?
It's not my personal mission, but it is an objective that I have an objective that Mitch McConnell would not be majority leader, and I believe will be done before this time next year.
So I know you watched that Jeff Flake speech, and
Bad idea. Don't mess with Mitch McConnell, buddy.
no. So
Mitch
I got a
McConnell's
question.
still there laughing, and Trump's gone. Bannon's gone.
Oh yeah, presidents come and go, but Mitch McConnell looms foreboding over Washington.
See, he could have
Unchanging and
left.
eternal.
He could have left Liz Cheney on the leash, but he took the leash off because Bannon threw the first blow here.
So, all this hyper religious language that he was using in the documentaries, I don't think anybody, well, obviously some people do, but I think you and I would be pretty confident in saying that Trump's most likely an atheist. He doesn't buy into all of this conservative religious crap. So, do you think Steve Bannon, is he purely cynical? Is he just pumping out garbage for the Facebook idiots to eat up, or do you think he's that guy, that the Phil Robertson type, that he's buying into the crap he's putting out?
No, definitely not. Bannon, the thing, if you watch enough of his footage, he's actually really smart, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he seemed, in the other things I've watched, and I think in that too, so I feel like you can tell that he's an intelligent guy. He knows what he's doing. You juxtapose him against, listen to Michelle Bachmann speak. She had the crazy eyes. She drank the Kool-Aid. She believed what she was saying. Yeah.
In 2018, Donald Trump shit on Bannon because he made comments in the book Fire and Fury. In this book, during the presidential campaign, Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner met with Russian officials. He called this meeting treasonous and unpatriotic. In the book, he also described Ivanka Trump as dumb as a brick, and referencing the now completed special counsel investigation led by Mueller, he said that they're going to crack Don Jr. like an egg on national TV. He also said that Mueller's investigation will likely uncover money laundering involving Kushner from loans received by his family business from Deutsche Bank. And another quote from Bannon from the book was that lawyer Mark Kasowitz had gotten Trump, quote, out of all kinds of jams on the campaign. What did we have, 100 women? Kasowitz took care of all of them.
What somebody said about me someday. Tony took care of all of them.
I don't think that's what they mean. I think they paid off a bunch of women that were victims of abuse.
Oh, okay.
That's a different situation. 2018, he appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher, who's gone over the deep end himself.
Yeah. How the mighty fallen.
But speaking of elections, I would love to know what advice you would give to Donald Trump if he didn't leave even after he lost. Because I saw Hillary Clinton.
You're obsessed with this.
I am obsessed
You're
with this.
obsessed with it.
Wait
Why
a
do you
second.
think he's not going to leave?
There's some evidence that how smart this conniving dude is, man.
Wait a second.
Just because I know he's having the time of his
because
life.
he's an insane narcissist
Who
talks all the time about how we should have a president for life. Let me read what Hillary said, because you're right. People have been saying I'm an alarmist and I'm crazy because I keep saying he's not going to leave even if he loses. Now, crooked Hillary is saying it. She said this. She said, you remember the moment in the third debate when Trump refused to pledge that he would accept the result of the vote. Yeah. That's where it started. Yep. She said, it took my breath away. Even the moderator from Fox News couldn't believe it. I felt the foundations of our democracy tremble. Imagine if Trump does the same thing in 2020. What happens then?
This is the reason she's not president. I mean, this is the kind of
Trump would never do that.
I mean, he will go if he loses.
Oh, I don't think it's a question. Absolutely. I mean, it's not even. I mean, that's absurd.
But you didn't think you'd get fired.
Well, remember. You've got,
I'm just saying.
I only gave it 1 year. I only gave it 1 year. I only gave it 1
Really?
year. Read the book. I quit.
I will read the book. But why? I mean, he was mean to you. He fired you. He said mean things.
That's a good interview. It's worth a watch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish the Bannon portion of the show sans Tony. I think Mr. Bannon is worth covering. He is instrumental in the January 6th events, and he is linked with many other figures in this particular, what I would consider, fascist movement. So the organization that he is currently under subpoena, or he was under subpoena before refusing to comply with the subpoena, is his affiliation with this organization, We Build the Wall. In 2020, Bannon and 3 others were arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud and money laundering in connection to the We Build the Wall campaign. Its advisory board included people like Tom Tancredo, mentioned above, Eric Prince, of course, and Steve Bannon. Allegedly, Bannon and the others made themselves rich by pocketing contributions to the We Build the Wall fund. By mid-2020, over $25 million had been raised, and a 3-mile section of fence had been built. We Build the Wall was an organization that funded projects like the one by this individual named Fisher, which he built privately. This individual afterward was able to secure $1.7 billion in federal funding as a result. And this is what we talk about oftentimes when we talk about government farming, or what I like to call upwards wealth redistribution. And Bannon was pardoned by Donald Trump in his last day in office for charges stemming from this scam.
But the sort of macro charge is you defrauded people who sent you money to build a wall. You said you wouldn't take any of the money. The charges claim that you did. What's your response to that?
I had my C4 had if you read the indictment, I had a $1 million contract, okay, to kind of be the DC office, oversee the wall construction, to do seminars, conferences. If you want to see it, go to Vice News, go to BBC, go to the opening season of Showtime's The Circus, the opening episode in the 19th season. They're traveling around the country following us on these town halls. We did town halls, conferences. We built a wall, 2/3 of a mile of wall up a mountain in El Paso within 100 days of starting. I was a contractor and ran an advisory board that brought together the best and brightest of all the wall people. So they're not going to criminalize. They're not going to shut me down about talking about the wall. They're not going to criminalize.
The best and brightest of all the wall people.
Us talking about the wall. Okay. We brought in Kobach and Sheriff Clark and all these guys. So that's what the indictment failed to say. But look, all that will come out in court over time.
It will. And I don't.
Is that they're not the key? Yeah, the key thing is they're not going to shut me. They want to criminalize political speech, and they're not going to shut me down. I'm more focused than ever. We're kicking off a national tour on Monday called The Plot to Steal 2020. They're not.
We're kicking off a national tour called The Plot to Steal 2020. This was 2 months before the actual vote. He kicked off this tour. And I should remind you guys, this is the same gentleman on Bill Maher that swore up and down that Trump would not try to steal the election. And here he is, in fact, coordinating the effort to do exactly that.
Going to stop my voice in assisting President Trump and making sure that this election that he's going to win on the 3rd is not stolen from him.
Jeez. They were setting this thing up from the beginning, dude. In November 2020, Steve Bannon's Twitter account was permanently suspended for suggesting that Anthony Fauci and FBI Director Christopher Wray should be beheaded.
And that's the second term. Second term kicks off with firing Wray, firing Fauci. Now, I actually want to go a step farther, but I realize the president is a kind-hearted man and a good man. I'd actually like to go back to the old times of Tudor England. I'd put the heads on pikes, right? I'd put them at the two corners of the White House as a warning to federal bureaucrats. You either get with the program or you're gone. Time to stop playing.
Either do what we want or we murder you.
Games. Blow it all out. Put Rick Grinnell today as the interim head of the FBI. That'll light him up, right?
You know what, Steve? Just yesterday there was the anniversary of the hanging of 2 Tories in Philadelphia. These were Quaker businessmen who had cohabitated, if you will, with the British while they were occupying Philadelphia. These people were hung. This is what we used to do to traitors.
That's how you won the...
Traitors who vote the wrong way, apparently. Well, this was what got him banned from Twitter. This month, he was held in contempt of court for defying a subpoena by the U.S. House of Representatives investigating the Capitol attack. Allegedly, he has communications between himself and Trump that possibly implicate Trump and others in illegal activity, such as promoting a coup d'etat. There's an article from The Hill, Bannon eyed as key link between White House and January 6th riot.
Mr. Bannon had substantial advanced knowledge of the plans for January 6th and likely had an important role in formulating those plans. Mr. Bannon's and Mr. Trump's privilege arguments do, however, appear to reveal one thing. They suggest that President Trump was personally involved in the planning and execution of January 6th, and this committee will get to the bottom of that.
So what Liz Cheney here is saying is that they wouldn't be claiming this privilege if they didn't have evidence to hide, which seems obvious. Bannon was in the war room at the Willard on January 6th, one of these 2 war rooms from where Trump organized the coup attempt. And the claims that this wasn't orchestrated or coordinated in any way is completely ridiculous. Just look at who was here on these 2 rooms. War Room 2 included Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Corey Lewandowski, David Bossie, Michael Flynn, who we know, Peter Navarro, Adam Piper, Tommy Tuberville, a Republican senator from Alabama, a Nebraska GOP gubernatorial candidate, Charles Hebster, Rudy Giuliani, Mike Lindell, Eduardo Bolsonaro, son of Jair Bolsonaro, the renowned Brazilian fascist ex-president facing charges.